Shalom, all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Just doing this quick video on something I've been learning lately, which is basically how you respond and how you answer people will basically dictate the vibe or the feeling of the conversation. And this is just pretty much just basic wisdom 101, you could say. When you read Proverbs, we get a lot of different insight on just life. And it's the same with the book of Proverbs, Psalms, Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, Wisdom of Solomon. Our forefathers basically, which I believe King Solomon wrote Proverbs, or I may be wrong on that. I haven't looked it up. I haven't checked in. It's one of those books where let me actually go to the beginning of it to just verify. But it's one of those books where, we just get wisdom. It's one of those books where we just get wisdom. And here it says Proverbs 1, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. So this was written by King Solomon. You also have Wisdom of Solomon, so on and so forth. Like I said, Ecclesiasticus. These are just kind of the books that give you basic wisdom on life. And one thing that I'm learning is this scripture, Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. I'm learning that this scripture is relevant in this specific time period that we're living in. Excuse me for the background noise. This scripture is relevant for the time period that we're living in because we're living in captivity. We're living amongst our enemies. We're living somewhere where we don't want to live. You always have a reason to be angry. You always have a reason to be mad. But you always shouldn't let it show on your countenance because that's just not good. That's just not good to always let your anger show. We need to be stoic. One of the definitions of stoic, without looking it up, one of the definitions is to essentially you don't show your feelings and emotions. You don't let your feelings and emotions control you. And you have the ability to not show your feelings and emotions if need be. That's basically what we need to be, man. You cannot always let your anger consume you. You cannot let your anger cloud your judgment. Because more times than not in this society, a soft answer does turn away wrath. And that's important wisdom to know because, I do my daily walk and I walk and there's a park where I live. I go walking near the park and I see a lot of people. You see people with their family. You see random people walking. And, when I walk past people, I put on a smile, even if I'm not having a good day, even if I'm a little upset. When I walk past people, I put on a smile. They say, how am I doing? I say, hey, I'm doing great. And I keep it moving. And just that little small interaction already makes the whole environment much more, everyone feels more safe. Imagine you walk past someone and they're always frowning and you say, hey, what's going on? And they just nod and keep moving. You're not really going to know what type of time that person's on. They could be up to no good and you could falsely represent yourself. You could falsely represent yourself if you always let your anger show and you let it cloud your judgment. Someone could see you and you could be frowning and whole time you're not going to do nothing, but you just look like a threat. You could be at the grocery store and instead of giving soft answers to people, you could be having a bad day and you let that bad day cloud your judgment. And now you start speaking to people kind of rude. Next thing you know, you're getting followed around a grocery store by the staff and everything because you look like a threat. So in this society, it's better to have, you could say, a cheerful countenance or not a super jolly countenance, but it's better to walk around, and control your emotions. Don't let it show. And a part of controlling your emotions goes into this scripture right here. Proverbs 1 and Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. So a soft answer goes into not just your answer, but it goes into your countenance. It goes into the air about yourself. You know, you learn in this truth, you're always basically reading people. You're always reading how people are, their mannerisms, different aspects about them, their characteristics, the vibe on people, you know, what type of level or anything. You're always kind of reading people. And one thing I'm learning lately is that a soft answer, it does turn away wrath. Like I said, you could be in an argument with someone, or you could be in a little debate, and instead of being rude and mean, you answer them softly. You answer them gently. One of the fruits of the spirit is gentleness. You know, so instead of being rude and mean, you can answer people with oh, okay, well, you know, hey, I disagree, but at least I see your perspective. Or, hey, you know, I appreciate it, but, you know, I'm good today. You know, a soft answer helps you, man. You learn a lot in life. Even if you're not in an argument, you could just be in the kitchen with someone. You could be doing anything. And giving people a soft answer, it turns away from the possibility of something getting carnal. And as the spiritual leaders, you know, we're each a spiritual leader. When you know this truth, that makes you a spiritual leader. As a spiritual leader in this time, you want to have the wisdom on how to answer people. And as a spiritual leader, we want to do our best to keep any situation from getting carnal. So this scripture here keeps situations from getting carnal, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to keep situations from getting carnal. So verse 2 says, the tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. So it said the tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright. So we're supposed to utilize this knowledge that our forefathers gave us, right? That's why it's important to read through Sirach often. It's important to read through Proverbs, and it's important to read through Psalms. These are some of the books that our forefathers were just living us little gold nuggets and wisdom about life, right? And as the wise, as the spiritual leaders that we strive to be, as masters that we strive to be, our tongue needs to be graced with salt, with knowledge. That's why it says the tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright. So we are the wise, and our tongue, we have to utilize knowledge, man. Utilize knowledge in your everyday life, right? And a part of that knowledge that I'm going in on is how a soft answer turns away wrath. So speaking, when it says a soft answer, it doesn't mean that you sound soft like a punk. It means words that don't stir up anger, right? Words, you know how they got fighting words? Well, what is the opposite of a fighting word is a soft answer. Basically, it's words that don't start anything. Passive words, you could say, right? Like, let's say you're in a debate with someone where you go, hey, okay, well, hey, I see what you mean. I see your point, but, you know, I personally disagree. That's a soft answer. Instead of saying, man, to hell with your point. Fuck you and your point. You know, your point is stupid. Your point is dumb. Those are fighting words. And the opposite, which was what I said first, is a soft answer, right? So when we're dealing with carnal people in this world, when we're dealing with fools in this world, we want to utilize a soft answer, because utilizing a soft answer turns away from the situation getting carnal. Another precept real quick is Proverbs 16 and 23. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. So we are the wise. That word heart means la'ab, mind. The mind of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. In the translation, it says, from a wise mind comes wise speech. The words of the wise are persuasive. So we are the wise, and we have to utilize wisdom in our speech. There's multiple other scriptures I could get, but I think I'm going to leave it there. It's self-explanatory. You want to think before you speak. As the saying goes, think before you speak. You know, we as learned men in this truth, and the few women that listen, we have to always think before we speak, and we have to utilize wisdom in our speech. And that soft answer turns away wrath, goes into utilizing wisdom and knowledge that our forefathers gave us. You know, especially living in this carnal world, you want to always be as spiritual as possible and passive. You want to keep the situations, if it be at all possible, live at peace with all men. You know, if it be possible. I'm not saying don't be a pushover. You know, you're not supposed to be no pushover. But if it be at all possible, right, we utilize a soft speech to turn away situations from getting carnal, even if you got that, even if you got that anger in you, it is wise normally to suppress it and utilize a soft answer so you can stop a situation from going somewhere that it doesn't need to be. And that's going into utilizing wisdom when we speak, as it was going into here in Proverbs 16 and 23. So that's pretty much the point. I'm not going to make the video longer than when it needs to be. Lord willing, this was edifying. Till the next time, Shalom.